This is Joel Hastings with DairyBusiness News. We're at World Ag Expo on February 14, 2023. We're at the Rabo AgriFinance display booth area, and we're talking with Ryan Findlay, who's got some really unique responsibilities in dairy for the company. I'm going to have him tell us about that. Ryan, welcome to DairyBusiness News, and talk about your role in the carbon banking process.
Sure. Well, it's great to meet you. I'm happy to be on, and I'm going to give you a couple of background. First of all, I spent the last 20 years in agricultural policy work. So I've been a federal lobbyist. I've worked in any type of agriculture, from apple growers and labor issues to row crop producers in the Midwest on farm policy. And the last couple of years, I've really honed in on sustainability. And what does that mean to a grower? It's a noisy buzzword that we hear a lot about. But what does this mean? And coming from an agricultural background myself, it's really important that I help distill this down to how does it help farmers. So I live in St. Louis today. I work with Rabo Carbon Bank, and I've been there since last August.
Well, you've got a lot of expertise in terms of some of the sustainability issues we're dealing with, but you've also been involved in some pilot programs. Let's step back a little bit and talk about the general responsibilities for your division, and then I'm really looking forward to learning about some of the pilot programs that you're working with.
Absolutely. So the Carbon Bank is really focused on taking all of this information that is related to carbon, related to sustainability, and how do we help farmers understand it? How do we help farmers be the solution in this broader conversation around carbon and around sustainability? So that's really what the Carbon Bank does. We help bridge that gap between where the farmers are and the needs of all the other companies that want to lower their emissions. So we're trying to help farmers benefit from this, improve farms' resiliency, their soil health, overall farm profitability. So when it comes to the carbon markets in general, we want to help a grower participate in that and help them be part of the solution.
And that entails not only cost of production, but also a new revenue stream too.
Absolutely.
Talk about the pilot program and how you're working with producers in what I'll call the real world.
Yeah. It's good to step back quick and say we have the food and agriculture spectrum. So we have a producer, we're going to have a processor, we're going to have a consumer packaged goods company, we're going to go all the way to the retail level where that consumer is purchasing that product. All of this food and ag has an emissions footprint. And their goal is to overall reduce that emissions footprint. So what is the role that a grower can do? And so with the Carbon Bank, we've created a couple of pilot programs. One of them is in the dairy space, one of them is in the row crop space, that allows growers to reduce their emissions, and then we can monetize that reduction and sell it to the food and ag value chain. So the one that we're specifically talking about today with you is our pilot project for dairy farms. It's twofold. It's about emissions reduction from methane or from nitrous oxide. And the methane can be from the cows burping, the enteric fermentation, and then the nitrous oxide side would come from their cropping system.
Well, let's jump into maybe one of your pilot programs that we're not going to identify specifically, but give us a little idea of how you work with a producer who does sign up for this program.
Absolutely. So it is a pilot project today, and these are pilots within a specified set of Rabo clients. And today we would approach a grower, have a conversation with them to say, is it the right fit for their operation at this time? And our goal is really to say, is this going to be easy to implement? Is it going to make a difference? Is it actually going to reduce emissions? Is it going to be profitable for the grower? So those are three things that we really want to focus on. And the pilot today is going to look at the lactating cows that we have. What feed additive can we give them? And there's a couple of feed additives. These feed additives reduce enteric fermentation, so the burping that it has, and we're able to quantify that emissions reduction through the feed additive. And then that reduction we can sell, we can monetize it as a unit and sell that to somebody else, and then pass along the proceeds of that sale to growers. So that's really essentially on the dairy side what it is. It's a feed additive to reduce methane. It does not impact a methane digester. That's a question we get all the time. So the side benefits are going to be beneficial in terms of reducing this methane. It does not impact production. If it does, it has a positive bump. We're careful to talk about that, but positive yield increase both on components and production. No negative impact from a methane digester, and it's a 1-year pilot that we're testing with select growers today.
And selling the credits gives the opportunity for the producer to incur this cost for the feed additive and maybe even have a little margin there. Is that the case?
It has to have margin. Yeah, it has to have a positive margin.
Yes.
There's always going to be a margin one direction or the other. But yeah, this is beyond the ease of use. We want to make sure that dairy farmers are going to be profitable with this. And I know everybody wants to say, well, what is the profitability? How much money am I going to make? And as you and I have discussed, I really think farmers should think of this in terms of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars from a profitability standpoint. So overall, there's going to be the cost of the feed additive, there's going to be the revenue that they make, and we will not sign a grower up unless that is going to be a positive ROI.
Many of our audience also produces their own feed with farming, sometimes very extensive farming operations. Give us a little indication of the farming component of your program.
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects when it comes to farming. In the western part of the United States, that focuses on nitrous oxide reduction. So in terms of the amount of nitrogen that we are applying to a field, how do we reduce that? And there's a couple of different ways. There's right source, right rate, right time, and right place, the 4R principle. There's an opportunity to reduce overall nitrogen, but as we do that, how can we quantify the amount of nitrogen that is being reduced? Because that also leads to a reduction in nitrous oxide. And nitrous oxide is a powerful greenhouse gas that people are willing to pay for if you're able to reduce that, especially within the dairy value chain, if we can reduce that emissions footprint. So for those that are cropping, raising their own crops, if they're able to adjust the amount of nitrogen and reduce that nitrous oxide, they can benefit from that as well.
And your role is to help them not only with the calculations, but also take those credits and in effect sell them on behalf of that grower.
That's exactly right. We want to partner with this grower. The growers are the ones that should benefit. The growers need to benefit. They are the solution to all of these conversations. And I think that's really important when we talk to people outside of agriculture, that we remind them farmers are the solution here. And so we want to bring all the partners together. We have an agronomic partner that helps the grower with the feed additive, with implementing the production practices. We have a different partner that helps quantify this. We work with companies bilaterally and sell these units, these credits, and then make sure the farmer receives that financial incentive.
Well, Ryan Findlay, as part of this presentation on the Dairy Business website, we'll have your contact information, and I presume you would welcome inquiries from producers around the country.
Absolutely.
Who have some interest in learning more about this.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you said that, because this really is an education. This isn't, we operate in the voluntary market space. So this is not a government regulation, this isn't a mandate, this isn't a requirement. This is a voluntary market system that for us needs to incentivize growers to participate. It needs to be easy, it needs to be profitable. We need to make it work. But there's a lot of confusion. And I invite, as you said, growers to reach out and just learn more. That's the first step in any action, is to learn more. How's it going to impact my farm? What does it mean? What does it do? And those are all important questions to ask. And we stand ready to help and ask as we can, or answer as we can.
Sure. Well, this has been Ryan Findlay with Rabo AgriFinance. He is the leader of business development in North America for carbon banking, and we really appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.